some audio captioning and a little bit of audio on the PA.
I hear it. All right. So can you give me a slate, Bill? Just say your name, title, and company.
I'm looking at the camera to make sure I'm facing you properly.
Camera ready.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Bill Bennett with Enco Systems, and I'm the Media Solutions and Accounts Manager.
Well, first of all, Bill, here we are, the last day of the NAB show, and you and your team have been so gracious to us at the RAB. So we've been recording radio on Main Street out of the Enco booth, and it's just gorgeous.
Yep. To have you. You've been wonderful guests. Please come back. It's fun because we're showing off our virtual set here, which is new for us.
So since people are listening this, talk a little bit about this virtual set that we're working on.
Yeah, well, so everyone's heard of augmented reality or virtual reality, mixed reality, extended reality. Those are slightly different things. We have built a set here with our partner company, Qimera, and this is a traditional green screen, you might think by looking at it, the green screens that the weather people might stand in front of.
Yes.
Except that we're using some very state-of-the-art software, a product called the Unreal Engine, very famous for large, new, modern, high-tech movies, right? That broadcasters can bring on a much more affordable scale into their existing studio, their TV studio. And what that means is, with software, you can build beautiful virtual environments, three-dimensional models of entirely large sets that don't really exist in physical space.
Right.
But with the right software that Qimera has built, you can model it to look like something much larger. And then you can have objects. Those who, of course, can't see us, we have in front of us here a virtual object, which I call our caption widget, and it's taking a live text feed from our automated speech-to-text captioning product and embedding it in what looks like a small, I don't know, I guess that's like a table. And it looks like it's a 3D object just sitting right in front of us. You could set a coffee on it.
Yeah,
except that it's not there.
Sort of a monitor type.
Right, yeah, like a monitor sitting on a table. There we go, great. So.
Bill, you mentioned television stations. You know, a lot of radio stations are also doing video from their studios.
Oh, yeah.
Could a radio station use this as well?
Oh, yeah. So there's something called, of course, in that space, visual radio. More and more people are in audio-only formats, radio, have realized that they can reach a larger audience by putting visual components to match their audio, or even custom content that's video only. What a great way to extend a brand. What a great way to help listeners feel more part of the show when they can watch what's going on in the studio. So I can imagine radio studios that have chroma key background sets or LED video walls all around them there are video virtual objects in the radio studio that aren't really there but look great when you watch it online.
Well, and I'm also thinking it's a way to integrate their advertisers.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can just, it's endless, the possibilities. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, because it gives you another pathway to reach people, right? You have a message to give, and whether it's an advertiser or underwriter, if you're public radio, or just additional messages or photos. A lot of news organizations for radio still now do visual reporting as well, taking cameras or and shooting video and stills of a news event. So yeah.
So I know this is a brand new product. Cost is always going to be an issue. Can you share a little bit about, maybe a ballpark of what something like this would cost?
Yeah, I think the package that you're looking at now with the software and the sensors and the hardware, the computer to do that, and the tracking system, starting at about $55,000. It depends what other features you want to add into it.
Right.
How big you want your chroma key set to be. Do you need multiple cameras? What we're doing here is incredibly efficient with just one camera. So the sky's the limit, like anything, right?
Well, and for those people, again, who are listening to us have this conversation, I will tell you, it looks amazing.
That's cool.
It's just incredible.
Cool. And like when people move the camera and you get the three-dimensional, you start to see the sides of us, yeah, thanks.
So Bill, a lot of people in our industry may not be familiar with Enco, and you do a lot of work in the broadcast industry. So give us an overview of what Enco is all about and the kind of products and services that you offer to broadcasters.
Absolutely, happy to. We started in the 80s when Eugene Novacek founded our company. His original focus was really high reliability industrial automation control systems for factories. And so that's always been our roots, is both automation and low failure, really high reliability. And then in the early 90s, a friend of Gene's, Dave Turner, said, well, wait, why don't we do this to automate broadcast? Why, you know, in video and audio on the air? And he said, can you come up with storing audio on a hard drive? And can you come up with a way to make a button on a screen instead of, you know, back in that era, there were cart machines, right? We all know. And we all know what happens if you've got 20 or 30 of them in your arms and then you trip and they're...
And the carts were really like an 8-track,
exactly.
not a cassette. They were good-sized
Pretty
carts.
chunky, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, different lengths and such. Yeah, and so Eugene and Dave collaborated on it and built the first DAD system, digital audio delivery, that became a absolute staple in radio production. And it just has keep growing. It's very popular, it's very robust, reliable, and then we grew that, realizing that audio is just a digital asset. Why not do the same with video? So we've created another product called Clipfire. In the video industry, that's otherwise known as like a channel in a box. So you could have up to 8 video channels playing out on different destinations, networks, virtual networks, streaming networks, what have you, all at the same time. And there's other cool things about it, like live transcoding and stuff, and recording capability and stuff like that. One of the really neat things that's been taking off for us is our encaption product. We started that around 2005 or 6. What it is a automatic speech-to-text device, so that, if you recall, 20 years ago... And
when you say encaption, for most people that's the closed captioning.
Yep.
So on your television, if you just want to see the words come up.
Right, exactly. About 20-some years ago, the FCC started requiring more and more television content to be captioned.
Right.
And so we came up with an automated way to do it efficiently and more economically. And now the quality is outstanding. We fast forward to today, it's based on an AI engine with high 90% accuracy, really fast, customized word libraries. You know, one of the cool things is, you know, yes, we use it still for hundreds of television broadcasters, but we have a new variation on that I call Encaption for Radio, which allows radio broadcasters to be more accessible to a deaf or hard of hearing community. I mean, and I know you just turned your head. That's kind of a head turner. If someone is deaf or hard of hearing, what is radio to them? They can't hear it. But if you can take our encaption product and send live captions to a website or a smart device, then all of a sudden an audience can follow along by reading it.
Fascinating.
And WAMU radio in Washington, D.C., for instance, they're an NPR member station. They use encaption 24/7 because they have a large deaf and hard of hearing community there, and they want to serve them. So, and of course, here's a really cool thing. When you start captioning it, then you have transcripts, and you can use that to have like AI-based summaries through our Encode GPT engine, right? Or like an hour-long interview can be summarized into like a few paragraphs or sentences even.
Just recapped.
Recapped, yep, which is great for, imagine if you've got an editor working on an hour-long program. Where is that one word, the one time that one person said the word Minnesota? Well, in the transcript, it's at 36 minutes. That tells you exactly where to jump in on the audio file. Your workflows become much quicker.
But again, what a great use of AI.
Yeah.
How helpful is that? And to do that humanly, it could take an incredibly long period of time to be able to find that one word.
Thoroughly agreed, and there's no budgets that can allow for that. Who's got the time to do that, to transcribe, you know, hundreds of radio stations? They create so much content every day, every week, every month, and then they've got decades of legacy recordings that they could also caption in an offline fashion, and then they could put all those transcripts on their website for their audience to go back and at least enjoy a transcript, if not hear the whole audio recording, you know.
So the majority of our members and those that will be listening or are listening to our podcast today are in the sales and marketing end of local radio stations, primarily in the United States, but also around the world. And for most of us, we are not technically oriented. I guess I'm speaking for myself. We're coming.
I'd say you're doing good.
Well, you're nice, but you know, we're doing it kicking and screaming. But we know that technology is front and center to you, and but for us, it can be a little bit intimidating, and it's sometimes hard for us all to get our arms around it to figure out how that helps us do what we do. So knowing that, how do we get comfortable, for those of us who are not necessarily technically oriented, how do we get comfortable with technology, and it's moving so quickly?
Oh, it's constantly moving. I mean, as much as we're building and designing, we're reading and researching, right? It's just the constant flipping of the focus. Well, one of the better ways to answer to that is just by proper software design, by proper human-centric user interface design, logical layouts of controls and processes that a user might go through to work their software. And we're always struggling with, the more you add complexity and capability, how do you not let it get more complicated, right?
Right.
And actually AI, great you mentioned that, because AI is much more than just speech to text or generative API, generative GPT. There's a lot of other ways that AI can help that we're looking at to make our software more, almost like it can read your mind a little bit better.
More intuitive?
Yeah, more intuitive, yeah. And so I think we're definitely, our encaption product I mentioned, we are rebuilding that from the ground up, an entirely new web HTML5 user interface, which is much more flexible, I think is the word. And so all of our products over time will become more of that modern user interface design. So, it's trying to make it as intuitive as possible, and it's just constant.
Well, and you say, being user-friendly is so important, because actually the majority of people aren't necessarily technically oriented, and yet technology is touching all of us in so many different ways.
Oh gosh. Yeah, one of the funny ways about that is you get in a car and you always know the brake is on the right and wait, no, sorry, it's on the left. The accelerator's on the right.
Oops.
Oh boy. And in most cars, at least, there's still a steering wheel, and that's in the center. And so that industry is standardized. Even though there's all kinds of varieties of manufacturers that have different products and price points and so on. So, yeah, I think as technology supports broadcast and broadcast workflows, I think that's just probably is a natural step there too. There's more of a good way of doing things that users, and that's one thing as a manufacturer, we're nothing without our customers telling us what they like or don't like and want or don't want.
Right.
And so we have to constantly keep that information up front and to our own internal developers to make sure, they're like, well, they don't do it this way anymore. Everyone's doing it this way now. Oops, well, we got to do that now.
Well, and I think sometimes we think we know what we want, and then we see something and go, I didn't know I needed that or wanted that until I have access to it.
That's actually, as a manufacturer, some of the funnest parts is we build this and say, hey, what do you think? And they're like, wow, cool. Or they're like, nope.
No, it's true.
You try and then, innovate.
So the NAB this year is celebrating 100 years of innovation in media and broadcasting. I mean, it's fantastic.
Wow.
So is there a specific innovation or initiative going on at your company that you're most proud of?
Oh, that's a great question. I do think it's, because again, like you said, we're technologists. We build technology to do things, to help other people do things, or do things better. I think it is the rebuilding and redesigning of our products over time. We've had a lot of products that haven't evolved too much in how they're used and stuff, and now we're refreshing so many things to make them more current with the modern, not to get too geeky, but you've heard of cloud workflows, right? There's everyone's talking about cloud or AI, and those things are absolutely sticking around. So we keep evolving our software to be more compatible to cloud workflows as well, which is more technical, but still necessary for like disaster recovery. We have a whole solution for that. Forgive me if I'm going off track, but yeah, I think it is exciting because we keep evolving to match what is possible. Like disaster recovery. If there's a radio station that instantly has to vacate, I used to work at a television network where 3,000 people in the building and there was a gas leak. A backhoe at the back of the loading docks hit it. And so they had to evacuate the building instantly.
Right.
Luckily, we had a disaster recovery site. But a lot of stations don't. They don't have a cloud copy of what's going on, what's on the air right now. We have a technology that does that, keeps it completely in sync, and if they had to leave the studio immediately, you just transfer the source that is feeding your transmitter from your station, remove it from the station and replace it with the cloud feed. Always in synchronization, keeping the as runs in sync too, right? What ads played, what songs played, and then when you can go back to the station, sync it all back up, and you're back on the air from home.
Well, it's such a great reminder that even if we do have a disaster plan, we need to continue to update it. and be aware of all the tools that are available to us. Gosh, you just look at what's happened with weather this year and how it's affected transmitters and all kinds of things across the country, and in areas of the country we never have ever experienced this before.
Right, and that's going to continue. The flooding, the high winds, wow, you know, just losing an STL dish from one link to another, you know, hopefully you better have a backup. And even then, will that backup survive? You know, wireless networks going down now. You got to have as many, you got to plan for so many worst case scenarios, and sometimes 2 or 3 of them come at once.
And most of us, again, who are on the sales and marketing side, it's probably about the farthest thing we think about until it hits. And then we want to make sure that, you know, our companies that we're working with and for, that we're all prepared and we think in advance.
You raise a great point, because so often that's, you know, quote unquote, what engineering worries about, right? But the sales folks know revenue comes from ads, and if the ads aren't playing, well, you know, why is that? Let's try to avoid that. So,
but you know, at the same time, it's like, this is a terrible analogy, but when there's a plane crash, God forbid, you want, if you have any commercials on the air that are promoting air travel, you want to pull those off quickly.
Right away.
And you need to think about
right away. That's
there's
a great
lot
point
to think about.
Yeah, and unintended consequences of things that this connects to that, and all of a sudden there's something that has to change.
So at the RAB, we hear a lot from our members about disruption and how to navigate through all the disruption. And, you know, it's not just, you know, if you step back, it's not just our industry. Every industry has been disrupted. Can you share some of the key challenges that your company faces because of disruption and how you're navigating change? Because it's not just on the user side, it's on the creator side as well.
That's true. Yeah, you know, disruptive elements disrupt all equally. You know, if I didn't say AI, I'd be the only guest that didn't say that, right? But it's funny, because as much as we can develop a tool that does, like, for example, I'm looking at our caption widget, you know, speech to text, or the AI that our chat, you know, Encode Chat API allows for GPT transcribing and summaries and copywriting. There are still AI tools that software developers use nowadays to help build code, or at least quality assure code.
Right.
And so our own team can write code and then run it through an AI to see, well, the AI may suggest this is maybe a really good, efficient way of doing it, or maybe this, try looking at this code, it's a little clunky, try to clean it up maybe. So it's a tool for us as much as it is in a different orientation to our customers. Mm-hmm. That's one example. Cloud, of course, right? I mean, we have, our company is international. You know, our headquarters is in Detroit. I live in Pittsburgh. We have teams in Oregon and Arizona and in Texas and in Arkansas. And we all connect and collaborate every day, and, you know, by phone and voice, you know, looking at each other on video calls. And
so is your company 100% remote?
Oh gosh, no, the vast majority of us are in Michigan,
okay.
in the town called Novi, N-O-V-I,
Sure.
just northwest of Detroit. And so we did an acquisition of a company called Rushworks earlier this year that have some, and this is actually impacting our visual radio offering, because now we have our own really cool visual radio offering. Rushworks makes a nice software-based multi-camera production environment that allows you to have several different cameras on pan and tilt camera mounts, and you know, to create in our conversation here a visual radio broadcast to submit or to augment the radio program. What another neat feature there is TalkTake. It's a service within that listens to audio on each of these microphones, and it knows when someone's talking, and it knows then to cut to that camera. So it's automated. The engineer or the producer doesn't need to touch it if they don't want to. It's smart enough too that if too many people start talking at once, it'll cut to a wide shot or a 2 or 3 shot of people to just let that broader conversation ensue on camera until one person's back to talking, and then cut back to that. So, and by the way, there are AI ways to do that too. So, I know that's rambling, but you know, AI and cloud are big disruptors and big enablers.
All right, so right now I'm just shaking my head. That was a mouth drop for me, because with every one thought, a new thought comes, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Keeping up
Overload.
is just overload. Yes, I like that. Pooh, bam, wow.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry, I go down a.
That's
It's
all right.
exciting stuff. It's hard to not be excited sometimes.
So, it dawned on me watching, or first of all, spending so much time on the exhibit floor this year and watching this booth in particular, how crowded it's been. And it dawned on me that, we use certain barometers to see the health of our business. So, how is the health of your business, and how has the year been for you guys financially?
Oh, this has again been our most profitable year ever. So we are growing, and it's just because we keep making products that fit the need,
Right.
or create a new capability. So, and the show floor has been really busy too.
Which to me is such a positive indication.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And
Yeah.
if your business is good, that our business is good. So I never equated that, and that was a light bulb moment for me.
Well, and that makes total sense because for this, I like that point in barometer, and I have to admit, I haven't thought about it either, but if people spend the money to hop on planes, trains, and automobiles to get here, and spend money to come here and go to the sessions,
Yes.
that means they come here to look at stuff before they buy stuff.
Right.
They
And they're
need something-
investing in their future.
Right. And so, yeah, we're actually going to have even a bigger booth next year because we have more stuff to show, and that only happens when customers have a need that we can fulfill.
That's so
I
great.
like that point. Yeah, this show is strong as ever. Thank goodness that whole pandemic thing is behind us.
So obviously, as a technology company, you're always working on the next big thing. Can you share what's next for your
Oh.
company, or is this all confidential?
Well,
Give
it's
us
not,
a tease.
Yeah, it's not confidential in that you can imagine as we grow our own ecosystems of both audio products and video products and AI-based products, there's ways to stitch between them more seamlessly within the same ENCO ecosystem. And in fact, even this virtual production tool, we're stitching it now when I talk about the automated captioning product or widget being on our virtual video.
And we're
So-
watching it right now.
Yeah, right now. So I guess, of course, I can't really talk about products we haven't launched yet, but we have a lot of ideas that both stitch between the existing products that we have now that we've been building out and with our Rushworks acquisition, which are really great, smart people that have joined our team and are adding a lot more creative thoughts to our team. So we just keep growing. But also, of course, cloud-based products.
But broadcast and audio companies are still very important to the growth for ENCO.
Oh, I mean, that's who we support, broadcasters, right? Our roots are in radio. We've, modified that by adding a lot of video, but then now radio folks are adding a lot of video, so we're still with them. We are a broadcast technology company, a really broad-based broadcast technology company, more broad than ever, one-stop shop. So, one-stop shopping, no need to go anywhere else.
So, is there one trend on the horizon or a potential change on the horizon that you're most focused on?
A trend. Well, I mean, we've certainly talking about cloud and AI. I suppose one related trend, but this wouldn't be the primary trend, is software as a service. There are customers that don't want physical equipment on site. What's really neat about our automated captioning product is it can be on site, and most customers do want it to be on site. No internet needed. Higher reliability that way. But there are more customers wanting cloud services, production, everything maybe even entirely in the cloud. Complete mixing and play out of audio in the cloud.
Right.
That's kind of a huge enabler in a way, because now how many stations have remote DJs that are in talent that are nowhere near the transmitter or nowhere near a station building? That's going to continue. So we're going to continue to grow and enhance that. But some of these things that are in the cloud then become software as a service, where you no longer have a CapEx expenditure where you depreciate over several years. You have an OpEx that you just write a check every month. What's neat there is that you don't have to worry about the hardware. We own it, or maybe it's an Amazon cloud or Azure or Google Cloud,
Right.
And it's maintained by somebody else. It's backed up and replicated online by someone else. So that's really those three exciting components. When you put them all together, there's a whole lot to do.
So before I let you go,
Yeah.
because I know you're busy here, is there, again, thinking about our members and how overwhelming and how quickly technology is moving, if you could get us to focus as an industry on one thing that's coming, that's here, just a way of doing business or a way of thinking even, what would that be as
Wow.
you're a, a technologist? What should we really, because it can be so overwhelming and we can't be in every lane.
Wow, no, nobody can. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That is. Oh, do we have another 2 hours?
First of all, I should have said this from the onset. Personally, I appreciate that you've been speaking English to me because you're actually using words that I understand. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think I really, literally owe that to my parents, who, my mom, who.
We just say,
somehow,
what is it you really do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Although sometimes it's more fun to hide behind acronyms, but no, I think. I'm grateful that you had a very broad questionnaire, so I could take part of it easier than others. I think, just as it is with how we develop and build stuff, users, whether they be from a sales and marketing standpoint or an engineering standpoint or talent, don't jump to every shiny thing, which we all love. If we're creative people,
Sure.
we are drawn to that shiny thing. Think about that thing and how it really can. Or actually, don't even think about that thing, that shiny thing. Think about your workflow. What's working now? What's frustrating you maybe? What would you like to do? And right there, that's hard because you may have a habit that you've been doing for 20 years. What could you...
That may not be the best use of our time.
Yeah, especially with what technology brings as an enablement now for new things. And so, yeah, look at that shiny thing and then think, well, here's what I've been doing for 20 years. Here's what maybe it doesn't work anymore as well, and what I maybe would like to do. Can that help? And then if that shiny thing, hopefully it's designed and built and made to be reliable and by a reputable organization and stuff like that. Just, yeah, think before you jump.
Oh, I love that answer. Last question. We have a campaign that's very important to us, and we call it Radio Matters. And you represent a very different perspective. So when you think of the line Radio Matters, why does radio matter to you?
Enlightenment, entertainment. Part of that would be news and information. Growing someone's understanding of the world, either through news or interviews or insights or in music and entertainment. I love radio, classical, jazz, and public radio for talk, and it's radio is, of course, everyone knows this. It's that phrase, intimate, right? It's that when you're got the earbuds on, or you're driving, or on a trolley or something. It's just you and that voice, or you and that music, and it can take you places, and it's not going away because people are going to keep going places, and radio needs to keep feeding the mind.
Bill, again, thank you so much for not only allowing us to be part of what you're doing here. I mean, it's, again, amazing. I wish everyone listening could see what I'm seeing right now. But I love to see the activity. I love the people waiting to get into this booth.
It's electric.
You've been so gracious to us at the RAB, and I, again, appreciate you taking some time to sit down with me.
Yeah, thank you for making it easy, and thank you for making it a fun week, because we've done this 4 days in a row, and now I get to sit here. So, it's NAB gets to be a long week, but I'm going to miss having these
Yeah,
sessions
we are
here.
too.
So, thanks.
So safe travels, and thank you.
You as well. You as well.